Who is a narcissistic person? You may ask. These are self-centered, self-absorbed, manipulative people. It's like dealing with a person who is actually not a person. These are the kind of people that appear different in different situations. It's like dealing with someone with artificial intelligence that lives in a meta universe, and their sole purpose is to drain emotion from you, and you are meant to feed their ego. Narcissistic people, they have a pattern. It's action versus reaction. They act and you react. They're the narcissist people and you are echoing their narcissism. They feed onto your reaction. They know you. They study you. Unfortunately, they feed on that. For example, they can make statements that really hurt you. They'll say to you, you're just like your mother, or you're just like your disturbed family. And that will get a reaction from you. And when they get a reaction from you, they're going to feed on that reaction because you have just done exactly what they want you to do. By saying you're just like your mother, you've reacted, and that will prove their point, and that would make them happy, and that would make them feel like they are better than you. There is a mental health condition called NPD, which is narcissistic personality disorder, which can only be diagnosed by professionals. This disorder means that there are some people, unfortunately, who have to be diagnosed by professionals as narcissistic people because it is way beyond the living stage amongst people without any sort of medication. So that one is a different type of narcissistic people because those ones actually need medication. Unfortunately, in this universe that we live in, a lot of people have narcissistic behavior that have not diagnosed themselves or have not been diagnosed, and they live amongst us. When it comes to narcissistic people, they are very well calculated people and they are not to be taken for granted. Narcissistic people are this kind of people that will feed you with everything that you want. They will love bomb you in every situation. They will give you everything beyond your own expectations, and after that they'll pull away. And when they start pulling away, you start begging them and you start pulling them back in. And when you start doing that, that is when the narcissism starts. So before we get started, 70% of you, according to YouTube, have not subscribed to my channel or have not hit that notification bell. So join the 30% by subscribing and joining this small family so you can see more content like this that will empower you, help you, let you grow and be a better person. Can't wait to hear you in the comment section. Let's talk, because I reply back to all my comments. So let's jump right into the actual video. So these are some signs of a narcissistic person. You might be in your life wondering, how can I tell that this person is a narcissistic person? And how can I tell maybe I do have narcissistic tendencies as well? Because apart from us blaming other people, sometimes it's us. We're the narcissist people and we don't even know. Anyway, point number one, self-importance. No one is more important than a narcissistic person. They have unrealistic sense of superiority. They believe that they are special and they can only be understood by special people. They believe that they are too good for ordinary things. They try to associate themselves with high status people all the time. Like, this is something that I have seen and I've experienced. They're the type of people that exaggerate. They lie about their talents, they lie about their jobs, anything that they have in them that is good, they lie about it and exaggerate it 10 times more in order for them to show you that they are of more importance than you. They talk about how much they contribute, how good they do, how much they do for other people, and nothing about what other people do for them. Remember this, they are more important than you. Self-importance is so important to a narcissistic person. Point two, frequently bullies, intimidates or belittles others. Normally, narcissistic people feel threatened by people who have things that they lack, by people who have things that they wish to have. They thrive so much on especially people who are confident, popular, or people of a certain status. Remember this, narcissistic people are very well calculated people. They can be very distorted by people who do not know them. Like, narcissistic people can really become very angry at the fact that a certain group of people do not know who they are. And they tend to say, how dare you do not know who you are? And that is one of the things that annoys a narcissistic person. And because of that, they try their very best to put those people down and show them who is in control, who is in charge, and who they are. They understand that the best way up is to put other people down. The best way up is to bully, belittle, intimidate you in order for them to be the most self-sufficient, most important person in their life or in your life. Start name calling, they start bullying, they start preying on your weaknesses, they start preying on your past, they start preying on every story, everything that you've told them about, or any situation where you found it difficult. They prey on that and tell you how much they have done, how much they told you so, how much they did so, just to make you feel like you're less of and they're more important, and therefore you need to rely on them. You need them, or else your survival is nothing, or else you cannot survive in this world. It depends on them. Point number 3, sense of entitlement. They consider themselves special. Therefore, they expect favorable treatment as a reward. They expect all their wishes to be met. Whatever they want, they should get. If you don't meet the needs of a narcissistic person, then you are useless to them and have no use for them. If you defy them, be ready to be slapped with aggression or a cold shoulder. Remember, you have no purpose for them. So if you do something or you don't feed their ego, they are going to give you this hard shoulder and make you feel like everything is your fault and everything should have happened the way it should have happened according to their own say and according to their own needs. Point number 4, they need constant praise, admiration, and ego smoothing. A narcissistic person only rises up, feels better when you smooth their ego, when you feed them whatever they want, when you praise them constantly. That's how they feed and they thrive. A narcissistic person is like an inflated balloon. You have to constantly pump air in it for it to stay afloat. It's the same thing as a narcissistic person. You have to constantly feed their ego, feed them all the time in order for them to stay afloat and then for them to feel like they have the power and the importance in your life. That is what they call food for thought, food for the ego. Their relationships are very one-sided. It's all about them and them only. Anything to do with you has nothing to do with them. If you stop the food for the ego, it feels like a betrayal to them. It feels like you are the reason as to why they are the way they are. It feels like you have done something really bad. If you stop smoothing their ego, if you stop feeding their ego, if you stop doing things that they want you to do, if you stop doing those kind of things that, you know, fulfill them and make them feel like they're of purpose and they are the most important people in their lives. They are the dominant people. Narcissistic people build dominance. They are dominant people. Point number 5, narcissistic people like everything to be perfect. They believe they should be perfect. They believe you should be perfect. Any event that happens in their life should happen exactly like the way they expected and should play out exactly how they have envisioned that thing to happen. This is why a narcissistic person always tells the other person who is involved within that sort of cycle that they need to be perfect. They will try to get perfectionism out of you and make you feel like you're less than of a person just because you're not doing certain things to the standard that they want and you're not as perfect as they are, because they keep reminding you of how great they are, how perfect they are, how beautiful and wonderfully they are made, and you are not. You have to do certain things in order for you to get to the level at which they are at, and because you're not at that level, you have to sort of smooth them up and they make you feel like you can only get to that level if you listen to what I say, if you do what I want you to do. Practically live in La La Land, because that is a La La Land thing. Empathize and sympathize. They have very little empathy. They sympathize very little. They don't care about your emotions at all. They feel like your emotions are too much of an exaggeration, are too much of a drama, even when your feelings are validated, even when you have reason to feel the way you feel. Not allowed to let out your emotions because they will not sympathize with you. They'll not empathize with you. However, you are supposed to sympathize with them. You are meant to empathize with their emotions, not your emotions, their emotions. And that is a typical narcissistic person for you. They feel that they should be understood, but you should not be understood, because guess what? Remember this, you are not perfect. You are useless to them. You haven't yet got to the level where they are. They are the perfect ones. They are the most important ones. And you are nothing to them. So your emotions, the way you feel, what you do, doesn't matter to them. But with that said, let's talk about the types of narcissistic people. Number 1, grandiose narcissism. These are the kind of people that have been treated as superior from their childhood. And this carries on from their childhood to their adulthood, where they expect the same kind of treatment as they grow up and as they become adults. They tend to brag a lot. They are aggressive, they exaggerate. Are a point of importance. They are not sensitive at all. They are self-confident and they don't care about anything else, because this is something that has been bred on them since they were young. Since they were the children, they were superior, they were more important. It was about them and everything that they do. Let me give you a very good example. There is a video that I watched. I can't remember why I watched this video, but there was this couple, a mother and a child, and also the boyfriend that she was dating. They were trying to look for a house where to stay and a place to live in. Now, every single place they went in, it was dependent on what the child said. If they went to that place and the son was like, no, I don't like this place because you know what, that window is not facing the right place, they would leave that place. They would go to another place. They looked at over 10-15 houses. They were very potential houses, but it only depended on what this child said, what this child wanted. If it was dinner, it was all about what the child would want, where they would go, who she would see, what she would do. So they have treated this child with a very superior authority within the household. Therefore, it is very common that when this child grows up, he will carry on that superiority in their own lives. And when they meet people, when they're around people, they expect you to give them that kind of superior power, because if they did that with their parents, why not you? Why not you? Type 2 of a narcissistic person, vulnerable narcissism. Now, these are the kind of people that have emerged from childhood abuse and neglect. Such people are very sensitive, so their way of coping is narcissism behavior, which helps protect them from feeling inadequate. They feel anxious and offended if people don't treat them like they're of very much importance, because from a childhood point of view, when they grew up as children, they were neglected and they were abused. So their way of feeling like they have the need by being narcissistic and finding importance in other people by controlling you, so they can get back the power that they lost when they were children. There are two types that I haven't mentioned in here: antagonist, if I'm pronouncing it well, and communal narcissist. In my opinion, they're very similar to the first two that I mentioned, the vulnerable and the grandiose narcissism. The one particular one that I wanted to mention that I really want to explain, that I feel like is the most common sort of narcissism that we tend to overlook and maybe not see, is malignant narcissism. I'm butchering these names. I 100% know that I'm butchering them, but I'll just put it here so you can understand. This particular one is a more disruptive form of narcissism, because we think narcissistic behavior is a little bit silent, but this particular one, they tend to be aggressive, they tend to be paranoid, they're sadists, they tend to take joy from other people's pain, they display antisocial behavior, and they disregard everyone's right. This reminds me of the Jeffrey Dahmer case. When you look at Jeffrey Dahmer, I think he was one of the malignant narcissism person, because every aspect of what I've mentioned is literally him. You know, aggressive, sadist, paranoid, all those kind of things, very well calculated. All those things breed up that kind of narcissistic person. So those are the three that I wanted to mention. Now the question is how to deal with a narcissistic person. How are we going to deal with someone who is a narcissistic person? Let's go, because I got you. Dealing with a narcissistic person requires you to have a plan. Remember, they're very well calculated people, so you have to be a very well calculated person in order to deal and cut down their own behavior. And these are some of the ways I'm going to give you in order to deal with that kind of behavior. Number one is break the cycle of action versus reaction. They act, you react. That is the most common phase of a narcissistic person. They feed on your reaction, on what they have said. So we have to break that cycle. You react, it means that you are doing exactly what they want you to do. And that in itself is boosting their ego. That in itself is making them feel any better. So we have to break that cycle where you react to everything that they do to you or everything that they say to you. Because every single time you do that, you become predictable. A narcissistic person just knows what to say, and they know the exact reaction they are going to get to you. They know exactly where to push your button and exactly what to get out of you. They know that if I say that you're just like your mom, you will become very angry and aggressive. If you say that you're just like your disturbed family, you will absolutely react back. And they know exactly how you're going to react. And the moment you react, that is when they confirm the point of you are not any better, when in the first place, they push the button. Okay? From them, you're going to pull away. And this is how you're going to try and pull away. I watched a video from a guy called Richard Cranion, if I'm pronouncing it well. Go and watch his videos on narcissism. He talks about so much and he goes in depth into narcissistic behavior and narcissism people. He gave an example where he said about this game, these battleships. You can only tell where the opponent is by attacking the areas that are around them. That is what exactly a narcissistic person is doing. They are going to try as much as they can to attack in different areas so they can get a reaction from you. So the best way you're going to do this is by detaching away from them, by trying not to react, because if you stop reacting, then you're not feeding their ego, you're not confirming the thing that they want you to confirm. So to break that cycle, you're going to pull away a little bit and you're going not to react. But let me tell you something. They are still going to try as much as they can to do things that are going to trigger you, and you're like, you know what, I've had enough, I'm going to react. And then you react, and then you go back in the same cycle over and over again, and the narcissistic behavior or the narcissism continues. Remember, you cannot change a narcissistic person. They are who they are, and you cannot start playing a hero in their lives. If you want to break this cycle, you have to have a different type of strength. Detaching from them is hard. I'm not telling you that it's a very easy thing. It's really hard to detach from a narcissistic person. You don't need just common power, just little power. You need ordinary power and strength. And when I talk about strength, I'm talking about mental strength. You have to constantly say to yourself that I am not going to commit myself to react to whatever they do to me or say to me. You start breaking away from them, you have to start creating boundaries as well. Don't just break away and just let things be. No, you have to try as much as you can to set those boundaries as well. When you pull away, when you start detaching, set those boundaries. But it's going to take you a lot of strength and a lot of mental, toughness and resilience, because narcissistic people are tough people. They're very well calculated people. They know you inside and out. They know your weaknesses and they know your strength, and they will use them over and over again to fit their ego. So when it comes to detachment, you have to practice detachment. You have to practice every single now and then to try and detach away from them and stop communicating with them. Point number 2, do not explain yourself to a narcissistic person. Let me tell you why. Each time you try to communicate to them, it's your end goal. What is your end goal? What's your purpose of your communication? You need to ask yourself that. Because at the end of the day, they don't care. They don't mind. Remember, they don't sympathize. They don't empathize. They just do not have any burst of emotion. So when you're trying to communicate to them, what are you trying to achieve? What is your end goal? Are you trying to make them understand something of which they're never going to understand? Are you trying to kind of like make them feel better or do something for them which they'll never understand? Because at the end of the day, it's not about you. It's about them. So the best way to do this is you need to try to stop telling them stuff. You need to stop telling them things about you, what you're going to do, what your next move is, what your plans are, anything that you plan to do, because that is the way that they actually use to trigger you. Narcissistic people use things that they know about you. They use things that you've told them about yourself, things that you're scared about, things that they know that matter to you. They use those things. So the way that you have to stop that, you need to stop explaining yourself to them, why you're doing a particular thing, giving them a reason for everything. You need to stop doing them and tell me they hate this. They really hate this. When you start doing that, they're going to feel powerless. And that is exactly where you want them to be. You need to remind them that your power is your power. You hold your own power. They don't hold any power against you or over you in any form. If you want to communicate to them, make it plain and simple. No in-depth conversation, no deep conversations. Just keep it plain and simple, because at the end of the day, you are the one who's going to get off that phone call crying. You are the one who's going to feel upset, and they're going to feel happy, and they're going to be like, what have I done? Have I done anything wrong? Have I done anything to upset you? No, I've just told you the facts. But the truth is that they make you feel like you're the bad person for actually saying certain things to them. So you have to make the communication very simple. No deep conversations. Don't speak to them with a purpose, or don't talk at all. Don't communicate with them at all. Treat them with silence, and trust me, they hate that. They hate silence. They hate you keeping quiet. They hate you not talking, because by you talking, that's the only way they're going to feel. That's the only way that they need something. They'll be worried and confused, like, why is this person not reacting and why are they not talking? Because guess what? You watched my video and you understood that silence is the best way that you can treat them. Point number 3, take away the defense. You cannot be in defensive mode all the time, because that's exactly where they want you to be. In defensive mode. Every single time they do something, they act, you react. Defensive mode. You build that kind of shield. And that's exactly where they want you to be. It's mental work, so don't give them the excuse to have that. Remember, give up on changing a narcissistic person. You cannot change them. You want to take away that kind of defensive mode. If you really have to talk to them, if you really have to communicate to them, you have to try as much as you can to keep it very minimal. You cannot afford them getting into your head, getting into your emotions. Do not cry in front of them and give them that kind of willingness, you know, that you're going to cry in front of them. No, you're not going to do any crying in front of them, because guess what? You're so much better than that, and you're not going to allow them to have that power over you. If you must be around them like you have a child, you have friends, you have family, or it's a family member, and you really have to be around them, try as much as you can to minimize the contact that you have with them, minimize the communication you have with them. Do not... They are very well calculated people. Let me tell you something. Narcissistic people are very calculated people. They will pretend like they care, but in actual sense they don't care. They're trying to get information from you so they can use it any way that they can to make themselves feel better. Narcissistic people can have the tendency of starting a fire and sitting in the corner watching it brew, watching it burn, when they know they are the source of that kind of behavior. They are the source of that kind of treatment. It's examples like, if a narcissistic person sends you a very long paragraph, which I'm sure narcissistic people mostly do, if it sends you a very long paragraph, this is what you're going to do. You're going to reply with a very short message. You're going to be like, okay, thank you, good to know, thank you for letting me know. That's it, period. Wait and watch your phone how it's going to buzz. Wait and see how many times that person is going to call you. But since you've watched this video, you're not going to pick up the calls. Since you've watched this video, you're not going to fall into the trap, because remember, they are feed on your reaction. They echo reaction from you. So they are going to act by sending you the message, act by calling you, act by even coming to your door. But this is what you're going to do. You're going to ignore all that and pretend like you're not seeing anything that you're doing. It's like they are there and you're over here and you can't see anything that they do. Okay? So with all that said, I'm going to leave some pointers here. Do not try to fix them. It's above your pay grade. Fixing a narcissistic person is above your pay grade. And I don't think that there is any amount of payment that can help you fix a narcissistic person. Sometimes it requires treatment. It requires professional people. It requires a different level of assistance that you yourself cannot give. Remember this, loving them is not always enough. It is something that is deep-rooted that you yourself cannot tackle. Stop playing a hero in a narcissistic person's life. Stop playing a hero and thinking that you're going to change them, you're going to make them any better. Because trust me, you're not. It's not for you. It's just something that they have to find someone else or go somewhere else. Because remember, some narcissistic people have grown up with that narcissism. So remember this, you know the first victim, you know the last victim. They are always going to have somebody else. So if you're thinking that you're going to fix a narcissistic person, you're going to fix them to see you, you're just going to make yourself have more tears, feel more sad, feel more drained than you actually should feel. So if you're that kind of person who's thinking that is going to fix them, look, you can't fix them. You can't love them into coming out of that artificial universe that they're in. Okay? Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in my next video. I hope to see you down in the comments, leaving down a comment and telling me your experience about narcissistic people. If you've been one, if you've come out of one, let us talk about it. Apart from that, I remain Lucy A. Do not forget to follow me on all my socials, on Instagram, on TikTok, wherever you feel comfortable, whatever you have and you've downloaded, just follow me on there and let's grow as a community. Until next time, I remain Lucy A. Bye-bye. So, if you liked that video and you feel that that video gave you some insight, gave you some knowledge and empowered you as a person, please do go and check out my other video over here and another video over here where you can watch me talking about whichever video comes up here. But I cannot wait to see you subscribed and joining this family. Until next time, bye-bye.
What was that? An exhibition? We need emotional content. Try again.